Hey, how's it going?
Good. Great to see you again.
Wow, it's been a while. Space. You guys have the setup going right here.
Yep, exactly. So have a demo space off-site so that you can actually get a good sound quality demo, a good experience for a lot of dealers, a lot of customers, and that's the best way to do it.
Have you had a lot of foot traffic?
Yeah, we had a really good foot traffic throughout the day. There's a lot of scheduled meetings with Fidelity Imports as our distributor. They manage our dealer relationships, and so they managed a lot of appointments, brought people over. We even had some customers that dealers brought with them, and made quite a few sales from them having this kind of a listening experience off-site where they can truly hear something. With detail
exactly.
and
Plus,
accuracy.
the setting that you guys have here is perfect.
Yeah, so it worked out really good. It was a new place this year, so you never know what you're going to get until you move in, and you're like, on paper it looks great, and then everything seems to work out. It's got another level of bedrooms, and then it's got a patio on the rooftop, and it's got a lot of cool areas to entertain. So in the evenings we had a lot of press events and parties for customers, and that worked out really well. You can entertain here as well.
Plus now you have more space for more gear for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So what do you got going on here? Let's see. We have some beautiful looking stuff down here.
Yeah, so a lot of this you've probably seen before. In walls, new in ceilings. I think we had these last year. We're showing these off. These have been a huge popular hit. They have the frequency response and off-axis response of a standard, looks almost like when you look at a data sheet, it looks like a high-end 2-channel speaker.
That's for the in-ceiling.
That's for the in-ceiling. So
that's saying something too.
You can see that on our data sheets. There's lots of great reviews out there. There's several patents wrapped around that and how we get basically the tweeter has an angle of 30 degrees axis, so that's your listening position. So you put it in the ceiling and rotate it and point it directly at the listening position. It has a 55-degree width and then a 30-degree vertical, so you get perfect coverage for more seats. It's much better than having something directly over you where you've kind of got the cone of sound that's for like one person, and everyone else is kind of cut off from that experience.
And I think, in the beginning of Atmos especially, a lot of people thought you needed down-firing speakers, but the reality is a lot of ceilings are low enough that you need something
exactly. But that was what was recommended. So, the evolution of what works in ceiling, now how they do object-oriented or recordings, and now it's triangulation between 3 speakers as it moves throughout a room. They can place that image anywhere it needs to be, but you got to have the proper spacing, you got to have the proper coverage. So having an angled speaker, 30 degrees with nice width and vertical and height, that allows more people in those seats. So you get almost the whole theater coverage for seating. And now those images really transform more evenly throughout the ceiling.
And I'd imagine the kind of installations or build-outs that these kinds of speakers are going into have more than one row of seating or wide rows.
Yeah, exactly. And probably the most common theaters probably have around 2 seats, and that may be 4 or 6 people. But you just expand how many you need, 2, 4, from 4 to 6, 8, however big your theater is.
Did we hear that in action last year?
No, these were not in place last year.
They were not.
Yeah, they were not in place. So that we had to prep almost a year ahead of time for the demos are that big, right? I mean, there's 14 D215Ss, all the in-walls. I believe that was a 28-channel system.
It was incredible.
Yeah, so building a system came these were just about into production but weren't ready yet when we started the planning for the build, and cutouts, and you had machined wood and all this stuff to make that fit in that room. Right. So there was a lot of pre-prep from that. So they never made it into that. But these are really high output, 111 dB peak.
That speaker has some depth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is not. I mean, this is a beefy speaker. I think these were 30 or 32 pounds.
Wow.
So they are beefy. You gotta. You can hang them, so when there's earthquake requirements in a lot of cities and markets, it's solid aluminum. There's a damped Dynamat inside.
So internally, internally in the bay, you have to attach this, and then you.
So yeah, you have to, in some markets, like with earthquakes, like California or New York, even, you have to hang things.
Wow! So they don't fall out.
So if there was an earthquake, it wouldn't fall out and hit you in the head. And these are heavy enough, you want that. It actually works great. You can hold them in place. Like while you're on a ladder, these are really hard to hold and get up in the ceiling.
Imagine.
So you use a cable kind of like to help you support it and then put them in. So it actually works out pretty good.
Oh, and we've all been there with our arms up over our heads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to hold the speaker as you're trying to mount it to a ceiling. It's not a fun process.
So the new R18IS, so this is the bread and butter of our CI line product. We saw this last year. This is now fully released. Comes with its own amp, 1500 watts. Has vibration isolation plates on the end. There's brackets that go in the end so you can mount it inside the wall. It also has rubber feet, like it's sitting on its rubber feet right now.
Okay.
So maybe you don't want to put it in wall, but it's actually very thin in depth. You could set it under your screen and just say, I got subwoofers in the room, and they're just laying down under that screen.
Well, that's a beast. That's you said 18?
18 inch, 32 inches of X Max. So we had just had a customer who put 4 and 2 waveforming, so 4 in the front, 2 in the back. And he had 124 dB, 10 hertz in his room. So yeah, they have massive amounts of output.
Yeah,
it comes with a grill.
For someone who doesn't know what that means, that's a lot of infrasonic.
Amounts. Comes with a grill, so people, if they want to build it in the wall, make it a little more cosmetically appealing, they have the option of the grill.
Right.
Same DSP and all the kind of the pure delay, phase, 10 PEQs per 3 bands, so you got 30 PEQs. There's a lot of DSP inside. If you're
built it right into the amp.
Yep, it's built right into the amp, so it's rack mountable. It's got all the power that have been in our subs all along. So if you're not doing bass management, it's got a lot of tools in there.
Can you do bass management before, like if you have a Trenov, it looks like over there?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you do waveforming and then tweak it?
So what
further?
we truly found is actually do the opposite. So a lot of bass management processors, they're always making a ton of assumptions about what's happening, right? They're taking measurements from the 4 subs in the room, trying to make adjustments with phase and amplitude, and they're making specific choices that are unbeknownst to us in the background.
Right.
They may not make the right choices because there's a million things that they're processing that we aren't thinking of. So what our really high-end calibrators do is they go in time and phase align first, and they may even do some PEQs to get rid of some of the major humps. So now when the bass management comes in, it takes its measurements, everything is a little more even, everything's time aligned, it has fewer assumptions to make, it makes fewer mistakes in those assumptions, and you get much, much, much better results. But that process is not for the simple, the DIY guy. It takes a lot of experience and measurement experience to really get good at it. And that's the best way to actually maximize the bass.
You're not the first person who's said that to me. I mean, yesterday we talked to Paul Hales, who I'm sure you know.
Yep.
I mean, he's big into that and just kind of let it be. He's not even into room correction beyond that.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Heinzel, I know, is big time into doing exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really interesting to hear the pros talking about it in that way, because a lot of people think you just put that processor in the chain, just let the processor go and have its way. But
yeah, what you kind of learn over time, you get more experience in this industry, is that, I used to have the impression that bass management just kind of did everything. It did really well, but there's too many assumptions. Acoustics is really hard. It's one of the hardest disciplines out there, and every room is different, even though they both may be 5 by 7 by 3 meters. Doesn't really matter. There's always some different position for those loudspeakers in that room. There's some different acoustic interaction with the room, so it's always different, and so you really need to treat each experience very differently to achieve the best results.
Which is why when you're buying a product like that, it's really best to have the pros come in and
we have a lot of DIY guys, and they start to learn more, and they start to learn the complexity, and they can still do the DIY fun part of building it, putting it in, but the value of a high-end calibrator coming in and making it the best, you paid a lot of money for that stuff, right?
Right.
So don't buy a Lamborghini and put go-kart tires on it.
Right, exactly.
And so that final tweak is just saying, I got that final calibration. I bought great equipment, and now I'm actually getting the performance that it's capable of.
Right.
And even a lot of just, average equipment can be hugely improved by calibration. So it doesn't matter the price point or the value of anything. There's always a way to get it to maximize.
I'm glad to hear you say that because, inevitably I know a lot of folks who are going to end up watching this discussion will have the response of, well, that's really beautiful equipment, but I could never afford it. And I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And my response to that is always setup is everything. You can buy relatively inexpensive speakers if you put them in the right position. We could take all of this amazing stuff and put it in a parking garage.
And it's going to sound terrible.
It's going to sound terrible. Yeah, or in a stairwell in a parking garage. We've all been in those situations, but to your point,
and all the conversations that I constantly have with customers on the line, and they're asking me about setup and which speaker should I buy for which room and stuff like that. It always comes down to, I will be a little bit biased on this, the first best improvement you can make is a loudspeaker. Our job is to not screw up the source, right? And that's what we take pride in, is making the best loudspeakers we can.
Yeah.
But the second best improvement you can make is room and room treatment. Doesn't matter if the processor can't fix a room. It can improve some problems.
Right.
But you can't fix like early reflections. It can't, all these late reflections that are bouncing off a back wall that are all hard surfaces.
Right.
So there's still a lot of room treatment, some of those things, and room treatment can be expensive, but doesn't have to be. So even just taking your standard system and treating the room can make a huge difference. And then recal. You changed everything, then recalibrate, and you'll get a much better experience as well.
Yeah, and there's folks out there like GIK Acoustics where they'll help you figure out how to treat your room, and they have tools on their website.
Yeah, they have tools, and they even by phone calls and interviews, you can send in that data. They'll give you some recommendations, and then also that they'll give you some pricing options to meet your needs of what your budget is. So yeah, it's a great thing to improve any system. So.
Well, you mentioned loudspeaker. I need to see the Black Edition.
Yep, and one thing we wanted to mention, we have the D3 before we go that far, is a super thin on wall. So when you have no floor space, you again can mount it with these brackets kind of hanging down there. It's got a beauty plate on top, so when you hang it on the wall, you put in screws and it looks beautiful, but it's got the vibration isolation. You can mount it on the back so you don't see any brackets, then it looks like it's floating on the wall, or you can put it in wall and you can put the brackets on the side, mount it in a frame, and this kind of do a flush mount.
Is that a sub?
Yeah, so this is
a subwoofer.
That's a subwoofer. It's it's 3/8 and it's equivalent output of a D12S, so it is no slouch at all.
Talk about slim profile.
Yeah, slim profile. It's beautiful. We've got a couple people who just got them and just started using them, and they're floored.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, particularly for someone like myself, my home theater room is roughly 14 by 17 or 18.
Yep.
So I don't have a lot of space.
Yeah, it's solutions like that help a lot of people, and it's a great small room waveforming solution as well too.
Yeah.
And so that was the first installation. They did a 2 front, 2 back waveforming in a small room that was like 12 by 14 and maybe by 8 feet tall. So it was great in that situation.
Yeah. Particularly in. Don't want to dive too deep into waveforming, but one of the things that you really want to do, even if you're doing cylindrical waveforming, it's best to get the sub up off the floor.
There's more modes and more problems you can solve, I think, from that aspect.
For sure.
When you do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's why a solution like this could really come into play.
This is the actually internal components for a new Black Edition.
Oh, really?
So you got the crossover there. We've got some tweeter selections. You can boost it up and down, plus or minus 1.5. That's how we tweak to get them within a 0.5 dB pair matched. And the solid aluminum machined waveguide. So this is all solid aluminum. And our standard DPC technology that we have several patents wrapped around as well.
By the way, what are waveguides typically made out of? When you think of the average loudspeaker.
So a lot of them there's the woofer. So this has got about 25% more excursion than our standard S7T. So that's an upgrade, and it's got about half the inductance. So when you talk about string detail and accuracy and some of those kind of things, that really is some of those kind of difficult to measure, like inductance modulation, those things that they do show up in distortion, but it's not real evident. But it is real evident once you hear the difference.
Right.
You just had a kind of a little demo on that experience of the detail and accuracy. Strings and some of those kind of things are just way better. And then plus the additional excursion for maximum output as well.
You got a lot of coils.
Yeah, exactly. All
these-
air coil, air core. They have much lower distortion. Why a lot of people don't use them is because it takes a lot of copper to get to the same inductance, so they get big.
Copper's not cheap.
Copper's not cheap, and the size of those inductors get much bigger, but it really is the best solution, lowest distortion. The new R8 right there is the little baby, but he's about 45 pounds. So he's
really?
and it has 30 millimeters of X-Max. So it has huge amount of output. It's crazy.
So that's 15 each way.
Yep.
Right, in and out.
No, that's 30 each way. So
30 each way.
It's
So
60 peak.
Wow.
Yep.
That's saying something.
Yeah, it is. So that's a massive amount of excursion for a little 8.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but that's
He's cool looking.
That's a hit. We played that at Expona, and we put 2 of them in a room with our R5Ts, and one of our dealers came in. He was, kind of joking with us. He's like, "Here, play this song," and he played it. And his jaw dropped, and he said, "I'm buying 4 of those."
Oh, that's cool. Do you think that's more of an audio file, like 2-channel, if you want to add some stuff?
Yeah,
to your
it's
2-channel
really that
experience?
smaller room. I mean, they have massive amounts of output for their size, but that is really that I have a smaller room. I don't have a lot of footprint. Maybe I listen at 85 dB, kind of non-average, but I listen to music that has 1812 Overture has cannon shots in it, and I want to hear that in my smaller demo room or my smaller.
And that guy
room.
can give it to you.
That guy will give it to you. Yep, absolutely.
That's really cool.
All right, now let's get to the good stuff. So what we have here is the new S7T Black Edition.
All right.
And the D8IS subs. So you saw the D8IS subs last year. We talked about it when we were at our booth. But this is the first time this market is actually hearing them. We demoed them the first time in Munich to the audiophile world at the Munich high-end show. And it's 8/8 in horizontally opposed, so they're force canceling.
Are they're firing in different directions?
Yes, they are. So they're mechanically out of phase, but acoustically in phase. And so second order distortion with our push-pull technology is still utilized in these drivers. And it's got a massive amount of output. So this is our D212S equivalent. And even subsonically, it outcompetes the D212IS. So it's got massive amounts of output.
And again, form factor, space saving. You can put this behind
Space savings.
AT screen. Or,
yeah, I think we had a pre-discussion, and we were talking about how it's really thin. There's very little depth, since the width of the depth is basically the 8-inch woofer. So it's 9 inches deep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's solid aluminum enclosure. When they're playing, you can walk up and touch them. They're not even vibrating. So it's really thin. It fits in a lot of applications. We built it for this really thin CI market.
Okay.
It can be on wall. It's got 6 brackets to hold it up. It's 200 pounds. So I don't think many people will be putting it on a wall, but it is possible.
Yeah, I mean,
it is
you'd have
possible.
to make sure,
the mounting is good.
Yeah.
Make sure the mounting is good. But what we kind of learned as we went is that the audiophile market, it's literally our best sounding sub. The detail, the accuracy, transient response. So it's 24-inch woofer surface area, but the X-Max is about 20 millimeters, so 40 millimeters peak to peak.
Wow.
But a 24-inch woofer with 20 millimeters of X-Max, that's a lot of output.
Yeah, I mean, we're peak to peak per driver. Right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you've got 4 drivers.
There's 8 drivers in there.
Oh, 8 drivers. Yeah, you have 8 drivers in here.
And so they're all moving that 20 millimeters one way, 40 millimeters
lot
peak
of
to
energy
peak. So it's a lot of energy they can create in a really small space. And so the audiophile community is kind of like, hey, I want the sound quality, And sometimes they don't have a footprint either. So we designed a base that puts under it that it still mimics the vibration isolation. You know, I'll rock this back and forth and you can see the cabinet rock a little bit.
Yep.
That's because there's rubber isolators under there, and that prevents the vibration being translated into the floor, mechanically at least. The acoustic pressure, that'll still get transmitted wherever it wants to get transmitted, but and then so we got 2 of those set up here.
And those, by the way, those isolators, they're proprietary to Perlisten?
Yeah, they were designed by us and to have that vibration isolation. And when you look at the top, I can show you up here. So this is the beauty plate if you're not going to have it mounted. But when you have it mounted up here, so you can see these rubber isolation all over here in these screws. So we mount to this plate. Let's say we're going to mount it in wall or we're going to mount it on wall in the 3 mounting locations here. But this plate is rubber isolated from the cavity, the cabinet.
Okay.
And so now you have that vibration isolation. And so like when you rock it back and forth, you can see, yeah, it's sturdy mounted. You're not going to move it, but it wiggles a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's because that rubber isolation. It's the rocking of those rubber isolators.
Yeah, that's a lot of attention to detail in the design there.
Yeah, that's something we pride ourselves on. We usually do. We're thinking about the little things, how they're going to be used. And you know, force cancellation, mount that much energy in a wall, you're going to transmit it through the wall.
Right.
So even a lot of those CI designers and integrators, they have to design for the vibration as well. We're taking that out of their wheelhouse of problems they have to solve.
Yeah.
And so that's a great solution.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep.
So here's the kind of the
here's the yeah. How do you say in French?
Piece de resistance. Is that close enough?
Yeah.
Somebody out there is cringing, I'm sure.
That's why I didn't say it.
I started to say it, and I'm like, do I really want to go down that route?
I tricked you.
You did. I did take some French in my life, but
exactly.
not enough to be...
So, yeah, I never took French. I took Spanish. And so we have, it's based off our S7T. It is an upgrade over that. It has 20% more excursion on the woofers. It has about half the inductance. We talked about in the audiophile world, that inductance modulation, distortion, the detail, where that really shines and comes out in the detail and the accuracy in the strings. We thought it'd be a small improvement over the S7T, but it was actually a huge improvement. We were floored ourselves on that aspect. So as the evolution of Perlisten and saying, can we do things better, we keep surprising even ourselves, and that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
The patented DPC, so all the patents are now released on that. There's several wrapped up between the in-ceiling and this that are based on that technology, controlling vertical, about plus or minus 25 degrees, help eliminating those floor reflections, the ceiling where generally most people don't treat, but still having that wide, really wide bandwidth for left and right staging and imaging, and that sound power. Sound power is what we hear in a room. That's what if that's nice and even, which means off-axis response has to be nice and even.
Sure.
To say that this speaker will sound good in most rooms. We can't control the room. We talked about that a little bit earlier, and there's still a ton of room improvements you can make, like, you know, early reflections off a hard wall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But treatment always serves a purpose. But we're doing the best we can to make sure we eliminate some of those problems from the design, and that's what we do. So solid brushed aluminum back. We still have some vibration isolation feet. It's got a 20 millimeter thick steel base. This weighs 225 pounds each.
Wait, so we're essentially talking about over 800 pounds of speakers.
In this corner, so maybe we shouldn't stand over here. We might fall.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about make sure your wall's reinforced when you're hanging.
Exactly.
I think you might want to make sure your floor's not about to
We can't
cave.
really see the terminals right now. It's in kind of in a tight spot.
Yeah.
But some really heavy duty, durable.
You can't just lift it up and move it?
Yeah, you first. Give me the camera. But the standard tech stream drivers, the crossovers you saw over there, and half a dB match per pair. So that's where that stereo imaging just becomes another level when you can pair match, and then you put them in a position where at the seating position they just disappear. There's no speakers. Blending the woofers is also a really great feature. You can make those disappear. And I encourage a lot of our users that when you use the subs, it's once you get it and you say, I don't know where the subs are in your room, that's a different experience. And it's actually, that's very achievable. That's not an impossible goal. So we get that feedback a lot.
I can imagine you do. Based on what I've heard, so I've heard a couple songs on this system, and it's insane. And
really,
transient response is so on point.
What's really key is we talk about processing power. We actually have a 48-bit ARM core. It's got 56-bit internal data paths internal to the DSP. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? It just means more computations with less cycles.
Yeah.
So the faster we can compute, do whatever we want to do, because we're taking analog in, converting it to digital, doing our DSP, and then puking it back out. Mm-hmm. But we need to do that efficiently so that they stay in time with the mains.
Right.
So I've done, I don't know how many shows over the 5 years, and I've never changed delay in our subs. So that means they just blend well. I have many people that tell me I haven't even tuned anything yet, and I just put it in my room with my 2-channel, and I don't know where the subs are. So delay is usually one of those big problems. We don't want to add to that problem. What a lot of people don't know is you go lower in frequency, kind of where you do blend in with loudspeakers, they also have delay. And the longer the wavelength, the longer that delay is. Mm-hmm. So blending well is really, really, you have to think about the mains as well. Mm-hmm. And that's why we tune really, really low. These are ported, but they're ported down at like 22 hertz. So down until that frequency, they are a sealed box with really, really low group delay. Now, when I blend in my woofers, average delay is probably in that 10 to 12 milliseconds. Well, through the processing of the DSP is about 5 milliseconds. So I still have room to play there, that if I want to blend at 60 hertz or 80 hertz or 40 hertz, those delays line up. Mm-hmm. And now there's no difference between when they pair together. They look like they're aligned.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Those are things that we think about.
And you can hear that.
I mean, that absolutely. You can hear it.
Difference.
Or you cannot hear it.
Or you cannot, and that's what you want.
That's even better. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the cohesiveness of this system is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
People talk about airiness, transparency. I mean, there's all these buzzwords, but basically what I heard, amazing vocals. Things were transparent.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to the DPC and the patents on this as well, too, because these play down to 1 kilohertz as a unit. Mm-hmm. Most people will be using a 4, 5, or 6 inch woofer, maybe even 7 inch woofer to pair to a tweeter that they might cross over at 3.5 kilohertz. So the advantage of the DPC is that all 3 drivers play together at 1 to 3 kilohertz. And so I have 3 times the efficiency, 3 times the excursion, or 1/3 the excursion, 1/3 the distortion. And now I have something that's 0.3 grams of moving mass instead of 10, 15, or 20 grams of moving mass playing the vocals.
Right.
And that's where that detail...
And that's right through the vocal range, right in that...
Yeah, exactly. And so we get the waveguide efficiency, we get the 3 driver efficiency, so those are about 110 dB efficient at 2.83 volt. Well, then we design our crossover to make a nice flat loudspeaker. So at our sensitivity at 2.83 for the system is 92 dB. So it's very efficient, but each of those 3 drivers is getting 1/4 of a watt at that point.
Wow.
When it's at 117 dB, they're getting 6 watts. So they're never going to distort. There's no excursion. They're just hanging in the wind, they're a walk in the park.
And that's why
that's the low distortion.
So revealing.
That's the detail, the accuracy, the mass, the transient response, and all those beautiful things kind of happen from that process.
The last track that you played me,
vertical control now becomes from that. So. Before these all become a hot mess, right? They're canceling with each other, and as we go shorter and shorter in wavelength, that becomes a problem. So we roll these 2 mid ranges off before that happens. Then the tweeter is on its own all the way up to 40 kilohertz. But then we hand off to these drivers from 1 kilohertz on down. And if you start to think about it, when you're looking at the ceiling perspective, this woofer is closer to the ceiling than this one. So the wavelength and time of arrival is different. So it cancels up here.
Okay.
And when you're looking the same off axis down at the floor, it cancels down there. So that's where the energy is not eliminated, but it's reduced.
Okay.
And that's now I don't encounter that boundary as a problem. And you can do that with the mid ranges. Same up here. You know, we're much higher. That's severely off axis. Cancels. But when you're in the seating position, the time of arrival of both of those is the same.
Right.
They arrive at your ear. Now they sum perfectly. And now the key is that you have to go on through the length of the array to make sure that happens. So these are 250 hertz. And because of that spacing and the time of arrival at the ceiling, that one's much farther away, much farther away than that one. So the time of arrival is different, cancels. Floor, same thing, cancels. You sit in the listening seat, time of arrival is exactly the same. So they perfectly sum. So that is really, the magic doesn't just start with the DPC, but it ends with the woofers. And so these have controlled directivity all the way down to 300 hertz.
Wow.
Which is just unheard of without processing.
And that's
all passively. That's all done in
internally.
the processor. Yep.
So there's essentially, would you call this a three-way then?
Yeah, it's kind of pseudo because we're not really crossing over to any targets. You know, everybody says, oh, I'd use 24 dB, Linkwitz, Riley. Almost all people are lying. It's never that perfect. It may be a variation of that, but it's that's what it is. It's more about what gives me the perfect power response. So we're looking at over almost 400 measurements in how it's reacting in the room to create the best power response and on-axis response.
Yeah.
So it's about a 50-50 balance.
Interesting.
So that gives you the best sound in the room. So there's probably some things that are very non-traditional in how we're doing it. Because we're strictly looking at how's the speaker performing, not trying to hit some electrical filter concept.
And the end result is this beauty.
The end result is better performance in the seating position.
Sure.
Yeah.
How can these are shipping now?
These are just about shipping. So they are landing in several countries right now. It'll probably be towards the end of December before the USA gets their allotment.
So we're looking at
Production is happening right now. So yeah, absolutely.
And where can people find out more about these and if they want to buy some?
Yeah, if you're in another country, you just contact us directly through info@perlistenaudio.com. If you're United States, it's Fidelity Imports. They're our distributor here in the United States, and or if you want to sign up to be a dealer. So yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Eric, that was awesome. I love hanging out with you. It's always fun. Congratulations on another amazing launch. I think this is going to be a popular one.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks, that's all we have from, I guess we'll call this the Denver Loft.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, absolutely.
Make sure you subscribe to our channel, but more importantly, become a member of our AV and Home Theater Forum at avnirvana.com.